Good afternoon. The Cypress-Fairbanks Independent School District Board of Trustees is now convened in a special call board meeting on Monday, March the 23rd, 2020. Meetings of the board are normally held at 10,300 Jones Road, Houston, Texas. However, this meeting will be conducted by video and audio conference in accordance with the governance authorization concerning suspension of certain open meeting law requirements for the COVID-19 coronavirus disaster. A quorum of the members of the board will participate in the meeting and will be audible to the public. Members of the public have been directed to access this meeting from the district's website or to join the meeting by telephone. I want to welcome the members of our audience to this meeting of the Board of Trustees. As the Cypress-Fairbanks Board of Trustees, we are here to set goals, listen to reports from the superintendent, approve budgets, contracts, personnel appointments, and make policy for the district. It is not the role of the board to make day-to-day operational decisions. The management and day-to-day operations of the district are the responsibility of the superintendent. We have policies and procedures in place to resolve concerns and issues. This is a public meeting of the Board of Trustees, not a meeting of the public. Prior to this meeting, board members received information related to items on today's agenda. The items on this agenda do not necessarily have to be handled in the order listed on this notice. If during the course of the meeting covered by this notice, the board should determine that a closed session of the board should be held or is required in relation to any item included on the notice, then the board will convene in closed session as permitted by and in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551. These proceedings are airing live on the district website. They will also be rebroadcast throughout the month on Channel 16 and available as video on demand on the website. Thank you for taking time to join us today and for your interest in the Cypress-Fairbanks Independent School District. Before we proceed, I'm going to ask Dr. John Ogletree to lead us in a prayer. Dr. Ogletree?
Thank you, Mr. President. Let us pray. Eternal God, our Father, we do ask for your wisdom for our board, for our superintendent, for his A-team. God, these are trying times, and help us to keep the district together and children cared for and educated. Your word has said that there is value when there are many counselors. And so we are here today making decisions or hearing at least from our superintendent on the decisions that they have made. I'm asking for protection for every member of the superintendent's staff, protect them from this virus, protect their families, protect every member of the board and their families, protect our teachers and our counselors, everyone, God, the students. This is an unseen virus. So we call out to you and ask for your protection in this. We do this in the name of our Christ and say amen.
Amen. Patrons who have registered in accordance with this notice may have their comments read aloud to the board on an agenda item during or before the board's consideration of the item. Leslie Francis has shared with me that we had none that sent in questions, so we will proceed on with the reports portion of the agenda. Board members, I'll let you know that after each presentation, I will ask if there's questions, and I'll just go down the line and ask, because I can't tell if you're raising your hand or you have that inquisitive look on your face, okay? So we will start out, and I will turn the report section over to Dr. Mark Henry.
Thank you, Mr. President. Trustees, thank you for taking the time to be here this afternoon. It would be an understatement to say that this is a an unprecedented event, but it's an event that is in front of us now. And I'm proud to say that our staff has taken this event, and we're making the best of a very difficult situation. I would also like to say thank you to this board and boards in the past who had the foresight, primarily driven through hurricane events, to establish a lot of policies that our general counsel is going to go over with you here in a moment, that help us to continue to operate, continue to make sure that our employees are not harmed financially. So definitely appreciate this board and past boards in making that possible. Our presentation today, we're going to have three people present to you. First of all, we're going to have Marnie Collins Sims give you a policy review and how we got to where we are today from a governance standpoint. And then Teresa Hull will come up and kind of tell you how all of these decisions were made and how we arrived where we are today. And then Dr. Linda Macias will come up and talk about our at-home learning and what we're doing to meet the needs of our students and families as we move forward, as long as this event lasts. So, Mr. President, if it's okay at this time, could I turn it over to Ms. Sims to
Certainly.
begin our presentation, and certainly we'll be available to answer any questions that you might have. I'm going to move over and let Ms. Sims have this spot, and then if she'll introduce Ms. Hull, and then Ms. Hull will introduce Dr. Macias. Thank you.
Come on over, Ms. Sims.
Good morning, Mr. Toby.
Good morning.
Good morning, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Oh, yes. We've moved into the afternoon. Well, do I need to scoot over a tad?
Sure.
Okay.
Come on over.
So good afternoon, everyone. It's actually nice to see those board faces. You look a little bit like the Brady Bunch, but I will tell you, after talking offline to almost all of you, it's nice to see your faces. I'm comforted just knowing that you're joining me remotely, and again, echo your leadership is what has us in the best position that we can be in right now, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that. Dr. Henry asked that I go over not only with you all, because you already know our policies and procedures, but really for the community in general, what are the legal and policy guidelines that have driven us and guided us thus far. And we want to make sure everyone knows, because maybe in the news or social media, others might have seen that other boards were having to call emergency meetings. Administrators were having to get authority after the fact for decisions they had to make to protect staff. And several of you knew we had these things in place because we've had to use them actually even earlier this year with the emergency closure. But a couple of questions continued to evolve as far as, well, what about assignments at home, and how does all of that work? So I just want to talk you through each piece and point you to the policies that you've set in place so that everyone knows, and then ask me any questions after I'm done. But really, from the basics, who can close schools? And prior to, I think we memorialized this in policy only probably 4 or 5 years ago. But prior to this, we had a couple of instances, whether it was hurricanes or you may remember H1N1, we had to close a couple of campuses where the superintendent had the authority as Mr. Jackson always says, the chief executive officer, the CEO, to close schools in a health and safety emergency. Well, we memorialized that in local policy EB, and it states that the superintendent has the authority to close schools for health and safety reasons. Within the school district, we call that emergency closure, and we use that term mostly in companion with the pay provisions, and we call it emergency closure leave. And so I'm going to segue to the next thing. So after Dr. Henry closed schools, prior to the state closing schools, we did so locally because that's what was best for our community. And after that, then the next question that has been on everyone's mind, not just in the school community, but really everywhere, is how do people get paid? Do they get paid? And if so, how do they get paid? Well, I'm going to rewind you back to Hurricane Katrina, Hurricane Rita, the H1N1. We had an ice day here, a flood day here, where we, in the early 2000s, found ourselves having to close schools and staff staying at home. And each time the question was, Bob, how do we pay employees? This board, and you were actually on the board that came up with this, and many of you were. We are so blessed to have such continuity of leadership on our trustees, within our trustees. But the question was, how do we take care of our community? Because this policy reflects our community values, I would say, one, because you all are a reflection of our community values. And so I think it was Don Ryan finally said, why do I have to do the same resolution? This is how we treat our people.
He was that smart, was he? Okay.
He had some foresight. You were probably giving him those tips. But, you know, several of you, I think Mr. Bertoli, there were some former board members, because we would come to the board with these resolutions that say, you know what, we believe it's a reflection of our community values. We believe that it serves a public interest for our employees to be paid during these situations, for one, so that they don't leave and go to another district that is paying. It's clearly got a retention value for us, and then it serves the public purpose, but also we're putting parameters on it to make sure that expenditure is fiscally prudent. And so we would bring those resolutions to the board, and as I said, as a board, you all said, look, we want our employees to know that they don't have to wait for the resolution. We want them to know that we value them. These are our values, and how do we do that? So I said, all right, how do we do that? So I actually got in touch with Joy Baskin, the general counsel at TASB, who you know, and she and I talked, and I said, well, you know, we create local sick leave. For instance, the law doesn't require that you give employees sick leave. I don't know if you're aware of that. It only requires 5 days of state leave. And then each district makes its decision whether or not you're going to provide sick leave. Well, of course we do, because helps with recruitment, helps with retention, keeps the workplace, you know, safe and healthy. And so if you can create a local leave, i.e. a sick leave, why can we not create a local leave that pays our employees during times of emergency closure? It meets the parameters. And so we did it. And I think we may have been one of the first districts in the state. There are still a handful that do it. But as this board has always been, you were out front and visionary. And so we created that. And that's in our leave policy, DEC local. And it says that when the superintendent closes schools, that we have 10 days of local leave, and you utilize that. So employees just put on their timesheet just as if they were sick. They do emergency closure leave. And that's how we've been able to do that. And so that's why we didn't have to have an emergency board meeting to ask you to pay employees, because you had already decided that's my value set. And this is how we're going to do it. And we just figured out a way, just like you tell me, Bob, don't tell me how you make the sausage, Marnie, just make me sausage. So that's how we did it. That's the EC local. And then as we progressed, and I'm not going to steal Teresa's thunder, but, you know, then we moved to this status that we're in now, where the buildings are closed, but employees need to return to duty because we are expected to instruct kids in some way. And so we returned staff to duty, but we had to do so in a way that was consistent with the parameters that we were going to have as employers, Harris County, and then again, the state came in after we had already made these decisions. And so we started thinking, well, do we have the authority to do that? And I said, yes, absolutely. The board, you looking in your employment policies, it's called DK Local is the specific one. The board said early on, superintendent, we're giving you the authority to determine assignments and reassignments to not just positions, but also facilities or locations. So we needed to reassign teachers to work from home. So superintendent had that authority that you had given to him. And then it also is very specific that daily time schedules for all employees are determined by the superintendent. So work sites, work schedules, they're determined by the superintendent. So your superintendent at your direction returned employees to duty so that we can continue to pay them. And then we have changed work locations, work hours, work sites, whatever we've needed to do to keep staff safe in this situation. So I think those are the main policies. I can't think of any others. Let me see if there are any questions. And if not, I'm going to bring.
So we'll start. Gilbert, you're showing up first on the side. Do you have any questions for Marnie?
No, I don't. Not at this time.
All right. Moving over to Julie. Julie?
Marnie, can you clarify if these policies apply just to salaried workers, hourly workers, et cetera?
Thank you. Good question. Good distinction. The policies apply to employees who are eligible to earn this type of leave. So, well, let me be even more precise. The emergency closure leave applies to employees who earn leave, just like sick leave is not available maybe to a temporary worker, someone that maybe comes in once a week. They may help out, in the copy room, or there's oftentimes retired individuals, or a substitute, for instance, who is not an employee, who earns leave. So all of our leave banks are exclusive to those individuals who are employees. The returning to duty, anyone who returns to duty, and so we may have some long-term substitutes who are in classrooms right now, then they have been returned to duty and they're working, and they're subject to the same work assignment, work schedule. But if someone is not returned to duty, then they wouldn't be accruing a salary. So hourly, contractual, not contractual, these policies apply.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, good question.
Debbie?
None at this time, Bob.
Okay. Dr. O?
Yes, Marnie, thank you. I remember when we had the discussion on these policies, you mentioned 10 days.
Yes, sir.
And I foresee that the situation we're going to be in is going to be quite extensive and very a long time. So how long are these, will our employees be able to receive compensation, and also what level of accountability do we have for them actually doing some work at some whatever level?
Yeah, good question. So let me make sure I am speaking clearly. So when the district is closed and no one is reporting to duty, and that does happen, and that was last week because we closed everything. We didn't know what we were going to do, how we were going to handle it. And so we closed and did emergency closure leave, and employees were off, schools were closed, buildings were closed. And so we used 5 days. Now there are 2 sites, Bain and Dean, that we had to close for the 1 day due to the explosion, as you'll recall. So those employees have used 6 days, but the majority have used 5 days. After emergency closure ended on Friday, we returned staff to duty. So we still have, for the majority of those in the district, we still have 5 days of closure leave. So if something happens and we stop providing instruction to students and we have to close all facilities and leave everyone at home, then we would then go back to emergency closure status, and then we would need to utilize that leave. And if we had to increase that leave, even for just those 2 schools, you as the board have the authority to do that. And we would come back to you, of course. But I'm going to let Teresa talk a little bit more about that. I don't know that that's the case, because I think the governor and the commissioner recognize that continuing to provide instruction to our kids is going to be an essential service, even if we pray we don't, but even if we end up like a New York City or a San Francisco where people are sheltering in place, we're still an essential service, and we will still have most likely our operations as they look now continue.
Let's hope so.
Yes. Good question, though. Thank you for that clarification.
Tom, how about you?
One question that John asked, and I'd like for you to go into a little more detail on the explanation. John brought up accountability. I would look at it a little differently. We're going to have many of our teachers at
I didn't answer that.
on site, and they will have to ping in some fashion, and we will have to be able to identify that they are pinging in electronically. And we know that y'all are addressing this, but I think it's important for the public to understand that, yes, our staff has returned to duty, and this is how we're making, how we are aware that they have in fact returned to duty.
Thank you for that gentle prompting that I didn't answer the last part of Dr. O's question. I appreciate you. Accountability. And I want to start by saying that from Dr. Henry and Teresa Hull down and Roy Garcia and our school leadership team, our mantra and principles to their staff, we are making this work in the context of this situation, and we are going to work with staff, and we are going to figure out what works best and support those that may need help with this online delivery of instruction. And so it's not about everyone calling in at a certain time and calling out at a certain time. The majority of our teachers are going to work maybe as much, if not more, as they were working before. There is no doubt in my mind. They were chomping at the bit to start today. We were having to pull back the reins, and Linda will probably talk more about that. But we have vested, we've given a structure, of course, but we have vested in the principals as we do on a daily basis in regular situations, vested in the principals the authority and the responsibility to work with their staff and to establish their procedures for how they're going to make sure that staff are checking in with kids, because that's our focus. Our focus is taking care of our kids, and staff are going to work differently. It's going to look different. And I'm just so, it's been heartwarming to see how people are like, hey, I may normally work in the reception area, but I'll call 10 kids. I'll do what I need to do to support kids during this time. And so that's what we're going to do. I'm going to let Linda answer with a little more precision. But the answer is we have a structure in place, and we are going to work through that. In these first few days, it's not going to be as smooth as in some aspects as we had thought. My kid's a Mac user. And I just told Linda, she was like, and I had to say, use Google Chrome. And then that solved her issue. So we're working through this. I will tell you, learning from home started in the Sims household at 8:30, and everybody, they were at their laptops and ready to go. So we are going to make it work. We're going to work with staff, and staff, I'm personally not worried about us not getting our money's worth out of our staff, but we do have a structure in place where we're checking on people for the purpose of supporting them and helping them support our kids. Did that answer it, Tom/Dr. O?
Well, from my perspective, yes, it did. And you also had a key point, which I expect we will hear repeated today, that this is going to be a fluid process, and patience is definitely the watchword of the day. I know I've reached out to other districts, and they had great intentions on their beta testing. And when it happened, they found, oh, this didn't quite work the way we thought it would.
Yeah.
So I suspect we will be no different. But I think it is important for the public to know that we are being diligent and being good stewards of what we've been entrusted with. But you also highlighted the point that our focus remains on our students. And I appreciate your bringing that piece back in. So thank you. Good answer.
Thank you. And thank you for your support during this time.
Mr. Ryan.
I don't have a question as much as a comment. Marnie, I appreciate you bringing up the past where we implemented the procedures and the policies in place because the public perception could be, hey, we're a week and a half or 2 weeks into this and our board's just now meeting. Our board hasn't had to meet.
Right. By design.
By design, because we've allowed Mark and his administration to make critical decisions that benefit our students, our employees. And so having those procedures in place allowed the administration to do what they needed to do instead of us having a, quote, sequestered meeting like this to where we have to vote on all those things for him to take action. And now he's able to take action. And so I just want to make sure that the public perception is that we've had these in place for quite some time and we're not going to have to meet and we can continue to move forward in a really prompt manner. So I'm grateful for you bringing that up. Thank you.
Yes, in place for over a decade.
Okay, that's everybody unless somebody thought of something.
Yeah, we
I did.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Marnie. Appreciate it.
All right, I'm going to
Great
bring up
report.
Miss Teresa Hull. She's our Chief of Staff, and she is going to take you through what's happened so far.
Come on down, Ms. Hull.
Good afternoon. It's good to see all of you guys there. I'm just going to really focus on the timeline and kind of walk everyone through how this whole situation has kind of evolved and the timeline of the decisions that we've made. I know that you've received a lot of this information, but I do think it's important that we also clarify that for our community so they understand that. I think this has been a little more challenging given the fact that districts were on spring break when a lot of these decisions were having to be made. And so there's this feeling that we have been closed starting our third week. This would be starting week 3, when really that first week we were in spring break. So I think it's important to help everyone understand that. And then also our employees to understand how we moved from a closed status once we did close the district into really closing our facilities to students and parents, but still working. So just bear with me as I kind of talk through this and share the timeline of events. You know, prior to spring break, we were really still focusing on the spread of coronavirus around around the nation and world. And there were no confirmed cases of community spread in our area or in Harris County. So really preventative measures were our major focus. You know that we implemented the installation of the hand sanitizers in all of our classrooms, buildings, and cafeterias, really focused on the cleaning of all of our facilities. And then in addition to that, we modified our attendance, some of our perfect attendance practices. We modified the calculations for perfect attendance and spring 2020 semester exam exemptions. So that was made the Thursday prior to spring break. So we began spring break on March 9th through the 13th. And again, during that week, we were continuing to participate in daily calls with local and state health officials and area superintendents. We all were continuing to monitor that situation. Well, on Wednesday, March 11th, it was interesting. I began that morning thinking that things were really continuing in the same status, but it quickly escalated. The Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo announced mid-morning that they were canceling all rodeo events and concerts that day, effective that day, and for the remainder of the program, due to the report of one community spread in Montgomery County. So that really started to heighten everyone's concern and decision making. So on Wednesday, we still continued to just focus and see what was going to happen. On Thursday afternoon, March 12th, as there were more reports of confirmed and presumptive positive cases in Harris County and across the state, the area superintendents convened on a conference call and made the decision that they were going to close all schools and facilities March 16th through March 20th. So that was the week we just completed. And again, I repeat, at that time, there were no confirmed cases in CFISD. We still to date have not really had any official reports. I'm not saying that there are not some out there, but we've not received any communication of official reports within the boundaries of our district. But we felt that this closure at this time was necessary because it would provide the opportunity for parents and students and employees who may have traveled over spring break to return, to monitor their health, and possibly avoid any potential exposure or spread of the virus if they had traveled abroad or into other areas that were experiencing community spread. So as Marnie shared, EB Local that delegates authority to the superintendent to close schools for the reason of public safety. That was one of the policies that, again, that you had in place that allowed us to make that decision quickly. And then it also, DEC Local, as Marnie pointed out, also was the provision and policy that allowed us to not have any concerns with our employees, eligible employees, being compensated. On Friday, March 13th, again, that was the last day of our spring break, Governor Abbott held a press conference and he declared a state of disaster for all counties across the state. So again, you're starting to see over spring break, the situation was beginning to escalate. At approximately 12:45 that day, our district support team, which consists of our associate and assistant superintendents, we began to meet to discuss a lot of the issues and concerns, including plans for providing meals during this 1 week closure or the closure we were beginning on the 16th, how we were going to feed our economically disadvantaged students who depend on us for meals, and then also the instructional resources that we needed to make available for our students during that 1 week closure. By close of business on that day, March 13th, Dr. Henry provided updated communication, including already the decision and the plan for providing curbside meals. We announced that UIL contest had been canceled temporarily or suspended, and the availability of extended learning resources were posted online. Again, this was not our learning at home program. These were just resources that we were making available to our students during what we thought was going to be a 1 week closure. That weekend, we began the process of developing an FAQ to try to provide as much information as we could to our community, and also an opportunity for them to ask questions. We quickly had that system up and running on the district website by Sunday afternoon. So we began Monday, March 16th. Again, that was the first day of closure. And the situation changed pretty quickly that first day. At 9 a.m., Governor Abbott announced that he was waiving all STAR and EOC requirements for the 2019-20 school year. That definitely provided a great source of relief to us as we were, trying to discuss and plan for how are we going to prepare students for a state assessment if we have to extend a closure. So that definitely was great news. By 10:30 that morning, we had a statewide conference call with Commissioner Morath, and he provided us updates just on what it was looking like with closures across the state. And he reported that, a number of districts were beginning to close the school districts, and he was sharing with us how that was looking. He also confirmed about the STAR and EOCs not being administered for the 19-20 school year. He shared that the governor had requested a waiver with the federal government, with the U.S. Department of Ed, that we would also be able to waive our federal accountability. And since that time, we have received confirmation that the federal government has approved that. He also shared that if districts found that they were going to have to extend their closure, they would need to develop ways for maintaining instructional continuity in order to receive ADA funding for students. So again, we were closed. We had instructional resources available, but we did not have the system for really providing instructional continuity. So that was something we were going to have to develop. He also shared that local school districts would have to develop plans in order to pay their staff during any reported closures. So again, I think we had felt pretty good about our status for that 1 week, and we thought there was a possibility that we may extend to a second week, but certainly not where we are now. So following that call with Commissioner Morath on Monday, the 16th, Region 4 superintendents held another conference call. This conference call lasted from about 1:30 to 2:45, almost 3 o'clock. Included on the call, we had Harris County Judge Lena Hidalgo's office. We had representatives from her office, and we also had Mayor Turner on the call. And after much discussion, the area superintendents reached a consensus that the districts would suspend normal district operations from March 23rd to April 10th. And they would implement plans for long-term delivery of instruction and modified work schedules for employees. Again, that was a pretty big change from what we thought we were going to have for that week. And they also made the decision they were going to make that announcement and release that to the media by 5:30 that day. So we quickly went to work. At 3 o'clock, we convened our cabinet in order to really kind of get a skeleton plan at that point in time, because we knew that we needed to announce this by 5 o'clock and share it with the board prior to having anything announced publicly. So we finalized that about 5, and then we shared with our community that we would be suspending district operations or normal operations until April the 10th. I'd like to pause right here, though, and point out the differences in the status. Districts across the state and definitely in our area were going to be functioning, even though we made this decision that we were going to suspend operations until April 10th. A lot of districts were not on spring break when the situation began to escalate, so they were in a better position to prepare their staff, especially their teachers, for moving to this remote working schedule and plan. And there were categories that TEA used to kind of help guide us in how we would be able to code attendance and determine waivers or develop waivers for missed instructional time. So I want to share these categories because I think it's helpful for you to understand how our status changed and how we transitioned to our current state. The first status was closed temporary. This was for districts who previously announced a short-term, likely 1 week or less closure out of abundance of caution, and at the time were not actively working to prepare to deliver remote instruction. Non-instructional staff may still be working during this time, including at least school cleaning activities. Initially, this was our status and our plan for the week of March 16th and 20th. We were intending to be closed temporary. The second category was closed preparing. Those who cease normal operations, but campus staff are working either on-site or remotely in order to prepare so they can deliver instruction to students while the students are at home or off-site. Non-instructional staff may also be working during this time, including at least school cleaning activities. We transitioned to this status once the announcement was made that we would suspend normal operations and begin at-home learning on March 23rd. So we started closed temporary, and then we moved to closed preparing. Closed instructing. Those who cease normal operations so that children no longer come to the school site at all, but are instead provided support to receive instruction at home and off-site. The staff may be doing this work while on site or remotely or in some combination. And that is the status we began today, Monday, March 23rd. So I go back to the timeline. Now we're on Tuesday, March 17th. We had a great deal of planning and preparation to do, as you can imagine, to transition over 118,000 students and over 16,000 employees to a closed instructing status in less than 1 week. And I can't tell you and express enough just the complete awe and appreciation for how this team quickly came together. No one ever hesitated, and they went to work diligently creating plans and being very creative in how we could launch this in less than 1 week. By 10 o'clock that morning, we convened a meeting with our DST, and we started trying to figure out what is this going to look like. Again, we were not in a position to share that publicly, or really, I would say even with the board at that time, because we didn't know ourselves what that would look like. So we worked from about 10 till 2 and decided what kind of guidelines and parameters we would have for transitioning to modified work locations and schedules for all of our employees and students. The plan that we developed took into consideration the mandates that TEA provided, and it focused on 4 critical priorities that we established. We had to definitely take into consideration the health and safety of our students and staff. We had to definitely provide continuity of instruction for students as a mandate from TEA. We also had as a critical priority continuity of pay for all of our employees, including our hourly staff. And then we were definitely trying to avoid extension of the school year. How can we avoid putting ourselves in a makeup situation? And developing that plan, the first issue was to determine where would employees work. If students were not entering our buildings, where would our staff go? So the first issue to determine where they would conduct their work during this closed instructing time period, we asked that each department supervisor and campus principals designate staff into one of 2 categories. Those who must work on site. There are some staff that are unable to perform their duties working remotely. That may be some staff that need access to our secure network. Obviously, there's a lot of our staff members that provide food service support, obviously our curbside meals. We have a lot of our operations and maintenance staff that are unable to perform their work remotely. So these are examples of employees that would be reporting to work on site. So then who would be our staff that would work remotely or could work remotely? And again, this is evolving because I think it's forced all of us to think differently and think of different systems and ways that we can have more staff working remotely. Our teachers are definitely in that category of working remotely. And then we have designated campus and district staff who are working remotely. So the next challenge was the work schedule. And I think that kind of goes to some of the questions that Dr. Ogletree and Mr. Jackson were inquiring about. We knew that we must determine when teachers and staff would be available for students, if students had questions about their at-home learning, when parents could ask questions and expect to be able to speak to someone, and our community members. We just didn't want to shut off all communication with our staff, students, and community. And we knew that developing the schedules for our on-site workers, we had to also take into consideration that we were not jeopardizing their health and safety by asking 100 operations staff to convene in one space or food service staff. So we were really having to develop work schedules that staggered hours and time so that we could control those work environments. After much discussion, we determined that district facilities and campuses would be closed to the public. We would not accept public visitors and people coming on to campuses or to our facilities. And then all communication and business with our students, parents, and other businesses would be conducted electronically by mail or via phone. We established 9 to 2 as the hours when students, parents, and others could contact district employees, including teachers, via those methods, electronically or by phone. We felt it was important, especially for those that need to contact us by phone. We needed to make certain that there were established hours when they could actually, have someone pick up a phone and respond to their questions or concerns. The closed status and hours have been posted on the entry doors of all of our facilities and campuses, and we've also posted that on social media. Our technology staff has worked diligently to provide all of, especially our campus staff, with the process and procedures for being able to forward phone lines remotely. So we have the capability to do that. So although we may not have a receptionist sitting at the desk at one of our campuses, that phone line has been forwarded remotely so that they can answer phone calls. And again, those established hours were 9 to 2. Pay, we determined again that, and we've communicated that, and I cannot continue to stress that enough, that we continue to prioritize having a plan where all eligible full and part-time employees would continue to receive their normal rate of pay during this time, regardless of their work site location or their modified work schedule. People are not working the same 8-hour, 5 days a week schedules, and definitely not all on site, but we are committed to providing their full rate of pay during this time. At approximately 3 o'clock that day, Dr. Henry shared this broad plan with our staff, and then we began trying to figure out how we're going to really work out the details. On Wednesday, March 18th at 10 a.m., we had a Zoom meeting with our 91 campus principals, well, 92, because we now have Rowe Middle School, Stacia Carew as our 92nd principal, I guess. So we conducted a Zoom meeting with all of our campus principals to outline our plan and discuss the guidelines and parameters that I just shared with you, because we couldn't develop those schedules and decisions about working remotely or on site by ourselves. Because every campus looks different, all the needs are different, and so they needed to be a part of the plan. On Thursday, March 19th, again, things kept changing. Governor Abbott held a press conference declaring a public health disaster. In addition to the declaration, the governor issued an executive order to provide state and local officials with additional tools to reduce the spread of the virus. As you may be aware, the executive order contained 4 key areas. 1, every person shall avoid social gatherings in groups of more than 10. The second order was not impacting school districts. That was the closing of all of the bars and restaurants, but did allow for pickup and delivery of food. Order 3 was the order that addressed nursing homes and long-term care facilities. And then order 4, schools shall temporarily close. And we had to pause at that moment in time because we were uncertain exactly how that differed from the status that was currently in Harris County and some of the decisions that we had just made as a school district really that morning. So we had to pause and wait for a conference call with the commissioner, which we participated in at 3 o'clock that day. And really the clarification that he provided did not change our plan. It really was forcing all school districts across the state to go into that either closed preparing status or closed instructing status. And depending on their ability to immediately begin providing remote instruction to students. So the plan that we had developed, we felt confident with, and we continued to move forward with that. You may be aware there was a press conference this morning with Judge Lena Hidalgo of Harris County, and we were uncertain if there was going to be any changes in any orders issued for our county. But again, even based on that press conference, we feel confident in the plan that we have developed and that we're currently implementing, and are committed to moving forward with that. The next thing I wanted to provide you with is just a little bit of data and information about our curbside meals. As I mentioned earlier, we began that on Monday, March 16th. Again, amazing that the first day that the district was closed, that team was able to assemble and create a plan providing meals to our economically disadvantaged students and really all students in our school district. So to date, we have served 71,458 meals. That was before this morning. That is remarkable that we've been able to provide that to our community. Beginning today, March 23rd, we transitioned from serving 3 times a day to a 1 3-hour service time period from 10 to 1. So from 10 to 1 o'clock, students can pick up breakfast and meal at one time. And really, after reviewing last week's numbers, the team felt that it was clear that the midday time was their busiest time period, and felt that that was the best time to transition to the 2 meals per day and at that one time for distribution. They're currently planning for 8,500 breakfast and 85 lunches to be served at each campus, and there's 16 sites currently. So that will be a total of 272,000 meals per day that they are preparing for. We're currently working on plans to deliver meals using district transportation. We are concerned that there are students that may not have the ability to have transportation to our curbside locations. So today, that's really the main focus that we've charged all of our campus teachers and staff with, is making contact with all of our students and all of our families to determine what their needs are. Who is unable to get to those curbside locations, who is unable to access instruction remotely, and assessing who needs what so that we can meet all of those needs as quickly as possible. District events, just quickly, I'd like to highlight the status of many district events. To date, we have canceled the following activities. Of course, the superintendent fun run, but it was so exciting to see the number of staff members that still participated on Saturday and went out and did their 3-mile run or walk. Our Color Guard Showcase, the OLA our competition, I think that's a competition, it doesn't say that. Our Choral Festival, our Retirement Banquet, our VIPS Appreciation Event, Career Fair, Teacher of the Year Ceremony, YMPA, YLPA, Name That Book, JROTC Pass and Review, and additionally, all UIL activities, competitions, and practices have been suspended until May 4th. So as I mentioned earlier, today we transitioned to our closed instructing status. So now I will pause before I turn it over to Dr. Macias to share more details about that program and see if you have any questions for me.
That's a lot of great information. Julie, we'll start with you.
Okay, I'm looking through my questions that I brought. Teresa, thank you so much for the update and for going through that timeline and the communication. It's clearly a very fluid situation. And Dr. Henry and you and your team have been extraordinarily flexible and responsive to all these changes as they come at you. I really do appreciate all you do. Thank you. I'm looking, what about, well, I don't know if this is appropriate to ask you this time. What about facilities, the status of our school renovations and the construction of Rowe Middle School? Is now the time to ask that question?
Certainly. And I have Mr. Sprague over here. We are social distancing, but he can answer that in more detail. But we are continuing to move forward with those construction projects. Okay. Again, those are not our employees. They're obviously contractors that work for the different construction companies, but we are moving forward with that.
Okay, great. Thank you. And also, I do want to give a shout out of appreciation to the nutrition services teams. They have done a fantastic job meeting the needs of our students in terms of providing nutritious meals during such a challenging time. I am just so grateful for all of their hard work.
Thank you.
Are you through?
Yes.
Thank you, Julie.
Okay.
Debbie, how about you?
A couple. Thank you, Bob. First of all, Teresa, I too want to appreciate my, or give my appreciation to Dr. Henry and you and all of the cabinet and the district teams, principals who are working so hard to put this in place in such a short time span. I can't even, when we began talking about this last week, I just can't even begin to fathom all the hours that have been put into getting this program in place for our students so that they can continue learning. So my deepest appreciation to all of you. And I know Marnie touched on it a bit, but just to, so it's clear in my mind, because sometimes I miss comments because I'm writing and making notes and noting questions. But this morning in her news conference, County Judge Hidalgo did talk about that today they would be evaluating the shelter in place. So if we do, if our county and city do put that into place, how specifically will it affect our operations as far as people coming up here to ISC to provide the technical support and other things? And would we be considered essential?
That's a great question, Ms. Blackshear, and I can only base this off of what I've read with Dallas County, who has issued a shelter in place, and the orders that they've put in place with that one. And it appears that really our current plan, it would continue. Again,
Perfect.
only using the Dallas County model, because I reviewed that quickly last night and this morning, just wondering if we were going to have to make an additional change. But, you know, again, it's very fluid, and we'll continue to evaluate the on-site, the staff members that are working on site. And again, I think as this evolves, we're finding more creative ways to allow more staff members to work remotely. But currently, I think our current plan would be able to, we'd be able to sustain that and continue moving forward.
Well, perfect. I know that I have every confidence in our school district, and I just congratulate all of you for what you're doing in such a stressful situation and such a short timeline for our students. Thank you.
Thank you.
John, you're up, sir. John?
Did you say John? Okay.
I did. Dr. O.
Good. I want to echo what Debbie just said. Dr. Henry, Teresa, all you all doing just a marvelous job. I think we have the utmost confidence in your professionalism and your care for the kids, and we are just thankful for everything that you all have done so far and will do. My questions were answered Friday by Linda and Dr. Henry, and I thank you all for that. I have to leave and go to another meeting. I do want to ask about the possibility, because I am concerned about the kids, the students without Wi-Fi in their areas. I know that the plan is to drop off the instruction at the time of they pick up the food. I heard this morning, and I don't know if it's possible for us, is if this thing lasts for a long time, could we use mobile hotspots, use our school buses to be parked in certain areas for like a mobile hotspot, to make sure that all of our kids are able to function with the instruction that we're doing. But
absolutely. And Linda, I don't know if she or if Paula Ross want to come up and add any more to that. Absolutely. And I think that the paper packets is really just has been our initial quick plan for making certain that we get instructional materials in the hands of students. But we definitely are continuing to look at options and ways that we can make certain that every student has the access and materials that they need. So do you want to add any more to that? But Dr. O is leaving. I think Linda's going to talk about that in her part. Do you want to come up and share that real quickly?
Good afternoon. So Dr. O, as Teresa said, we have packets that are available.
There it is.
That are now available. You can see that they are in packet format for every single grade level. As you said, we're providing those at the curbside meals right now. And then our principals, as they're gathering information from their teachers, they will be delivering via our transportation department to our students' homes for any child who doesn't have access. We are working right now towards what else we can do regarding technology. We do know that we have some areas where it is a must that we provide computers and hotspots, such as our students who are taking dual credit, our college academy students. So we're working through that. But as everyone has said, this is a fluid situation. So we're continuing to talk and figure out what else to do to support our economically disadvantaged students.
Thank you. Thank you.
Paula, did you want to add anything? You're okay. You're okay?
Okay. Do they have any other questions?
Yes. Next up, Tom, Mr. Jackson.
Yes. Teresa, you and I chatted about this on Friday when y'all made phone calls to each of the individual trustees. But if you would, comment on what steps you're taking to ensure the health and safety of our administrators who are on site. And of course, that includes everybody at ISC, but also, as you indicated, we have other administrators who are going on site. So
Correct. And I think
that I have some others.
Okay. Well, in looking at ensuring the health and safety of our staff that are having to report, I think that's where we had to look at, first off, the number of folks that would be reporting at any one point in time. The first thing we did was limit the access to those facilities. We're not allowing the public to enter those facilities. Again, that kind of creates a situation where you can't control the number of people that may arrive, and then how you may have to interact with them. Our custodial staff is one group that will be reporting to check on our facilities, and they're in smaller groups. And you think about the size of our facilities. Our facilities are very, very large, and really employees that are on those sites have the ability to really spread out, and they may not even possibly see each other and still perform their work. The same thing with our maintenance workers that are coming in. They're able to clean areas before they start making any repairs or doing any work. And so that's an example of how they're able to kind of protect their health and safety as well. Did that answer your question?
It did. And one thing that we chatted about before, let's say the unthinkable happens, which hasn't happened yet. But let's say the unthinkable happens and one of our staff members or a member of their family comes down to Kovarin. How will that information be disseminated out to those, say if there's somebody who would go on site to work? How do we get that information out to let people know this has happened?
If an employee has actually tested positive and or if they've possibly exposed other employees or been exposed to?
Correct.
Okay. We're really guiding all of that through our Director of Health Services, Christiane Bernal. She is, we're asking any employee that may feel that they've been exposed or have been tested positive for that to contact her immediately. And then we're following all the guidance and procedures that have been implemented at the local, state, and federal level and how we respond to that.
Very good. Thank you. A question that John asked of Marnie, and then he brought it up again with you. So let me ask this in his absence. the plan that you have, we know it's fluid and it will change over time. But once again, let's say the unthinkable happens and the closure, or rather the offsite learning, not closure, but offsite learning has to be extended for another week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks. Are you comfortable that the approach and the resources you have to be able to modify as time goes on, do you feel that that's in place should that transpire?
I do. I think, again, our staff is committed to continuing to improve this. It's not perfect. Today being the first day that we're launching the at-home learning at home program, we know that there are going to be questions and some difficulties with that, but I think everyone is committed to making it work the best they can and getting all that information out to our students and supporting them at home with their learning. And I think we can extend that as long as we need to.
Excellent. And then my last question, during the time period of isolation, we know that that can cause different mental health issues. Is our counseling department available to assist either with staff or students on a remote basis should the need arise?
Yes, and I can let Mr. Garcia, who oversees our Director and Department of Guidance and Counseling, but yes, we have had conversations about that and making certain that those remote resources and support are available not only to our employees, but also to our students and community. And then keep in mind, we have Sci-Hope as well as another great resource, and our Hope Counseling Center that can continue to provide support as well to our community.
Very good. Thank you. That's all, Bob.
Thank you, Mr. Ryan. You awake?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. Do you have anything?
What?
Mr. Ryan,
What?
did you?
Oh, God, what do you
Can't hear you.
hear me? You mean walk
No.
little cube over there? I'm good. Perfect over here.
Okay.
That close up was scary.
Okay.
Gilbert.
Yes, I have a couple of questions. Thank you, administration. And yes, kudos on everything y'all have done. You guys are flying by the seat of your pants and doing an outstanding job. So great job moving forward, and hope everything works out. I had a couple of questions. Dr. O asked the question. I was worried about the students that were unavailable with Wi-Fi, and that's very comforting knowing that they're being taken care of. Also, the who gets paid and not and that department, and that was taken care of. Thank you very much again on that. Unforeseeable extension of a school year. Are we able to handle that? And I'm looking at extending other than the 5 or 6 days that are left for the leave time that Marty was talking about. And we get into something that's never been here before, as we are now, and we're extended into the summer. Is that being thought of? And is there money in the bank to pay our employees for that and stuff?
Yes, if you'll keep in mind, we're no longer technically closed. We're closed to students entering our building, but we're open as far as providing instruction to our students and then providing those essential services. So what the state has shared with us, as long as we can provide evidence of that and that we can demonstrate that we're providing this instructional continuity and the follow-up and support from our teachers, then we will continue to receive ADA funding from the state during this closed instructing time period. Now, keep in mind, we definitely have staff that work year-round, but we will continue to find ways to make certain that, as long as possible, all of our employees are compensated. I don't see any change in that. because they've indicated that the state funding will continue to flow.
Great, great. Thank you very much. That's very assuring on that part. Also, I believe there was of course, going back to me, I'm always thinking of the PE and the athletics part and stuff, and a journal's headache for all the seniors that are experiencing this for this time right now. It's just terrible. But after May 4th, is there any chance, has Mark, the superintendent, has he heard anything being closely affiliated with the UIL and I saw where Ray had put on Twitter, have faith, hopefully we can finish some stuff out and everything else. Is there a plan yet, or is that still waiting to be done about trying to get these finishing activities done?
I'm going to let Dr. Henry kind of respond to that because he does have the most knowledge about that.
Thank you.
Great question, Mr. Sarabian, a question I get quite a bit from many of our parents and students. And to answer your question, yes, everything has been postponed until May 4th. There's every intention that if at all possible, that some form of completion of the UIL athletic, academic, fine arts season will occur. So at this time, certainly it's postponed till May 4th, but the hope is to do something. Now, obviously, it won't be the same type of season that was originally scheduled, but I know I serve on the UIL Legislative Council and have talked to the executive director at UIL on numerous occasions, and they're intending, Lord willing, to have some type of completion to all UIL activities.
Good. Thank you very much. And it's nice to know that they are thinking not only the students, but the extra activities that they train for all year long. And not only in athletics and academics and whatever their subject is or their interest is at this time. One more question, Dr. Henry. I know you had stated in your video that we were looking at middle school tracks being open and maybe playgrounds and stuff. Is that still on board, or will that be something they may have to go change when and if a shelter in place is started? Will we be updated on that?
Well, even though the Harris County playgrounds are still open, Gilbert, we've decided to not open our playgrounds because of all the non-porous surfaces that are at our playgrounds, just to try to prevent any type of spread. We are going to keep the middle school tracks open. We're not encouraging any kind of group runs or anything like that, but we do think it's important to have some place for the local community to go, maybe even our kids to go, to not have to run or exercise on our streets, but we will not open the playgrounds.
Okay, thank you very much. And that's very helpful. I know, we're fortunate in our capacity to be able to exercise on our own, but many people depend on, say, those middle school track to be in a safe environment when they do their walking and their exercise. And I appreciate the district coming through for them on that. And again,
I would say, Gilbert, that we are encouraging all of our students, our community members, to practice social distancing. And we think that can be accomplished on a track with just a few people out there at a time.
Yes, I believe so too. Smart thinking there. And again, I want to thank you again for being in a tough time. Leaders show their true colors, and you guys are showing true colors. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Gilbert. I'll turn it over to Linda.
Dr. Linda Macias is going to talk to us about learning. Dr. Macias, come on down. Who actually has a perfect granddaughter, just in case you want to know.
Oh, my screen.
Good afternoon again. Our main priority right now is our students' safety and continued learning during this unprecedented and challenging time. Last week, even though the district was closed, we still went ahead and had learning resources up for our students. And notice that, go back to the first page. So if you notice that we clicked on the coronavirus 19 there, and then that is what's going to take us to the resources. Go ahead. So last week we had posted some extended learning resources for our students. Can you open it, please? Some extended learning resources for our students, in case any of our parents wanted to go ahead and continue supporting their learning. Remember, we had spring break, as Ms. Hall shared, and then we had the closure. So that was available for our students. Beginning today, starting today, our students have access to our newly developed online site, Learning at Home. So again, you first click into the coronavirus update, and then that'll take you to the Learning at Home site. This site has online learning opportunities for students by grade level and by content or subject level. Dr. Henry, in his communication to the community last week, shared that this site will be available this week. Additionally, we informed parents yesterday, actually, through our district communication, that this site will be available today. Now, it is fresh, brand new. We actually started working on the site last Tuesday afternoon. And so there are probably a few bugs, but we are continuously working to take care of those bugs as we become aware of them. So here's a little view into what the online site looks like. So if you will, so first of all, if you look at what's on the screen right now, you can see that there's a message from the superintendent about the site. You can see there are different resources there for all of our students. One of our main priorities was to make sure that we were including information and resources for our support programs, such as our special ed students, our deaf ed students, our English language learners, our dyslexia students, that we were able to provide those accommodations as part of our system. And so you can see that there are different accommodations that they will be able to access. If we go into, we're right now in our dyslexia site, and you can see, this is just an example, that there are many different resources so that we can continue providing services to our dyslexia students. Now, just a little bit ago, question was asked about exercise and movement for kids. We also have provided some support for that. So on each of the sites, I'm gonna let me catch up. On each of our sites, you will see a family fitness movement calendar. Go ahead and click there. And you can see a month's worth of different activities, exercise, movement that our students can, or the family can do. We'll update this for the month of April as well. Now, we also looked at what can we do for our GT students. And so we provided some resources, some extensions in there as well. And so if you click there, you'll see that here's some extensions for GT. And I hope you can see, for example, 3rd through 8th grade, create a public service announcement or commercial for the topics below, such as, how can my community and I stay healthy during a public health crisis? Or create an argument why we should not stockpile during this health crisis. We really try to make it relevant to the situation we're dealing with today. Another very important component, and we've had emails about this, is I'm having trouble logging in to my CFISD. Please note that from our website, our Learning at Home website, you see the help desk information. And so our students, our parents, if you're having a hard time logging in, you can go to the ISC support at CFISD or call 281-897-HELP 4357. And there, our technology staff is ready to support you in helping you log into the program. Now, let's go into the learning at home site for just a little bit. So I'm going to click on pre-K. And when you click on there, you can see that that week 1 is available for our students now. We will be updating this every single week for our pre-K through 5th grade students. Now notice there is a suggested schedule for our students. Everything that we're reading about online learning suggests that you've got to have a schedule that students can follow. So we provided a schedule for them. Notice you see all the different content areas, but you also see some brain breaks in between each of those. And we'll show you one in just a little bit. Now, if you go to the left side and you go to the math icon, all of those are live links. So here it takes you to math for our pre-K students and kindergarten students as well. And you can see we have different activities and resources for them to be able to utilize. Notice also that under Think Central students, there's an Espanol link there as well. So parents, make sure that you're hitting the link, not Espanol. Espanol will take you just to the Spanish resources. The main link is the Think Central student. So there are opportunities here for all of our students to be able to utilize. Now, if you go to 4th grade, let's take a quick look at 4th grade. So again, thank you. So if you look at 4th grade, we'll click on the week again. And you can see the same process there. So elementary has the same flow with the minutes, the suggested schedule, the icons on the left that you can click on, or you can click on the actual individual content areas. Now, if you look at the bottom, you can see the accommodations backpack. That you can find that on every grade level site. And you can see there are accommodations provided for the different content areas for our students who are needing accommodations. If we click on Gizmo, can we get there? Yeah. Now I'm going to tell you what, as soon as she brings up Gizmo or the Explore Learning, you're going to see that it takes our students to really one site, because we really worked over the last couple of years on just a single site for our students. So that gets them to all the programs that we have available for our students. You can see right here, they just need to go to their one login, and it takes them to all the programs that are available to our students. But the science site, we have Gizmo, we have the HMH Science Fusion that will also take them to different science activities. And this is really simulated interactive science activities, hands-on for our students. Can you click in there? So for this week, we're looking at organisms and their environment in the 4th grade. So you can see that it'll give them first different explanations about how to get into the different resources. And so, can we get in there?
Oh, she shut her down.
Well, we'll come back to that, but we'll work to see what's happening there in our the system timed out for us. So we're going to go back and reload. So we need to do we need to reload to show the rest of it?
No, it's just.
Okay. Okay. So if we go back to the main web page, and let's look at high school. So The programs that we're using, the program that we're using mainly for secondary is Edgenuity for 6th to 12th grade. All of these different content in Edgenuity, our coordinators have aligned them to our scope and sequence. So they are right there aligned with the instruction that we would be delivering for our students. Notice that we have a page for Edgenuity. It is a step-by-step of how to log in. Our teams created this so that it would be easy for our students to log in, and even parents to be able to get in there with their kids, and our teachers as well, in case they forgot their different logins. This Edgenuity is really a self-paced course, so our students can move through it as fast or as slow as they need to, as they need their instruction to occur. Additionally, there are quizzes available through Edgenuity, and feedback is provided through the system, through the Edgenuity system, for our students as they complete their quizzes. Now, as we return back to the Learn at Home page, you can see we'll show you the overview of the middle school and high school. So all the courses are available there that we're able to provide instruction for. But in addition, we've really worked to make sure that we were also providing instruction and support for CTE and also fine arts. So let's look at the 8th grade curriculum just for a second. So you can see that we again have a schedule that we're encouraging our students to follow. You can see up on the top, go back to the top, that we also have accommodations for our 8th grade. As I mentioned, our advanced students might move a little more quickly. Our struggling students can go back and rewatch videos and review materials in Edgenuity. And let's click on the middle school fine arts here. So as this comes up, you'll be able to see that we have support and instruction for fine arts. As we scroll down, you'll see that there are different applications they can go to. And Art 1 is actually also available through Edgenuity. Now let's go back and look at one high school site. So let's look at 12th grade. So as we open up 12th grade, you'll notice again that we have the suggested schedule for 12th grade. You see there English 4, pre-calculus. You see our brain breaks there even for high school. Expectations for reading. You can see that the physical activity and wellness is there as well. Notice the other contents that are there. And then let's go even psychology. We have some resources there as well. Let's look at our career and technology. Click in there, please. So you can see that we worked at addressing as many of our CT areas as we were able to address at this point. So there's study material for certifications for floral design and an array of other support for different CTE programs. Now let's talk for just a minute about dual credit. Oh, one more thing. If you continue looking at to the right of the high school, you can see that we even have targeted the languages other than English. So we've really worked to provide as much instruction and support for our students. This again is found in Edgenuity, and then it's been aligned to our scope and sequence. Now let's talk for a second about AP courses, because that's a question that we've had a lot. We have been very excited that the College Board has really worked hard to help assist our students in the AP classes. Beginning Wednesday, March 25th, the students will have access to free live AP review lessons delivered by AP teachers from across the country. The lessons are being focused on reviewing the skills and concepts from the first 75% of the course. So they're going to really try to stick to the first 75% that most of the districts probably taught. Additionally, they're going to provide AP exams for students to take at home, 45-minute online exams. Now, this is not new to them. They have done online exams before, and they have figured out a way to be able to provide those without any support being provided to the students. There are going to be 2 different testing dates. We're still waiting on those. And we are encouraging our AP teachers to assist our students with working through the topics and the skills that are being provided through the College Board for AP. Now, another area that you may be having questions about is our dual credit students. We have been working with Lone Star College Cyfair, and their facilities have also been closed. They're closed until March 6th. They've also provided a schedule for classes to resume for our students. Monday, the week of March 23rd through April 6th, they're working on converting their dual credit classes to an online platform. And then our classes for our dual credit students are going to resume on April 13th. And then they've also extended the spring semester. Originally, it was supposed to end on May 10th. It is now being extended to May 22nd. Now, our dual credit teachers and our campus college and career specialists are going to be contacting and identifying our dual credit students who will need a laptop and internet access. As I mentioned earlier, this includes many of our College Academy students. And then we will help support our students with the tools and internet access that they need. They're actually one of the top priority to be able to provide computers and hotspots for. So during the closure, face-to-face classes will not meet. So there's really no instruction or no assignment of tasks to be done. However, we're asking our teachers to go into Edgenuity and be able to guide students to the different content lessons that we have there. Our dual credit teachers have a lot a lot of work they're going to have to do as well, because they're going to have to learn the Lone Star College's D2L online platform. That's not something that they've had to use in the past. Another question that we've gotten that you may have questions about is SAT and ACT. Those tests have been postponed, and right now, the next testing will be in June. I believe that that's all that I have to share with you right. Oh, no, I've got one more thing to share with you. I want to talk to you a little bit more about how we're supporting our students who are economically disadvantaged. So our students who are needing support, our teachers have been charged with contacting every one of those students. Mr. Garcia's leadership team is actually working with our campuses to make sure that starts happening right now this week. So they are checking to see, first of all, they're checking in on our students just to see how they're doing emotionally. That's the first task that they have. But then they are checking to see if they have internet access at home. If they don't, the teachers are keeping a log or a record of those that don't, and then the campus is making arrangements with our transportation department, as I shared earlier, to deliver packets to our students. And as I showed earlier, we have the packets already. You can see there in that picture, most of last week, we worked at putting together the packets right alongside with developing our online program. We got them to the print shop. They printed them for us, and they are being delivered right now to our sites where students are getting their meals. For the next 2 weeks, Students can access these packets by going to our curbside feeding sites on Tuesdays. They will be available there for them. I want to stress that the packets are an alternative to our learning at home program. Our learning at home program is the area that we want teachers and students to go to. But we certainly want to address the needs of our students that do not have access. Let's see. So our teachers, again, somebody asked about how we're going to monitor that. Our teachers, again, have been told that they are working from 9 to 2, that they're contacting their kids, they're checking in on them, they're checking to see who needs the resources, and then they will continuously be working and visiting with their students with any support they might need through for our online program. At this time, if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Ms. Blacksher.
Just to help me here, because while I'm in this meeting, my granddaughter in middle school is texting me that she can't get in, and I text her back to call the help number. And I can only assume that probably they are fielding many calls. Dr. Macias, would that be correct?
They will field calls. Ms. Blacksher, make sure that she's going into the right link. Because right now on our website, we're going to change it today. Right on our website, the first link is the extended learning resources, which is what we provided last week.
Okay.
The second link is our learning at home site.
Okay.
So if you can just check with her that she is going into the right site.
Okay.
What we've really been getting questions about, we've gotten some questions about that, and that's what's been happening. They're going into extended learning resources. So we're going to switch that. So it's immediately available.
Okay. And then I do have some questions on the CTE, but they're probably ones that I could just talk with you individually later. Okay.
You will see that every week we are adding some additional resources, especially in our CTE and fine arts area. In the content with Edgenuity, our students just continue working through at their pace.
Right. Okay. I'll get with you later about those other questions. Thank you. And
Ms.
thank
Ryan,
you for all your team is doing, Dr. Macias, because I can't imagine putting those packets together as quickly as has been done. So thank you to all of those who are involved so that our students, all of our students, if they don't have access to computer. One other question, and it's a concern that I've had from day one. What about our students who are mentally disadvantaged and in special ed classes? Because a lot of that, it would seem to me as kind of one-on-one instruction. I know those classes are rather small. So how are we able to reach out to them online?
Okay, so just like our general population, because they are part of our general population just getting support, they are also being contacted by their teachers. In this case, it may be our special ed teacher, their special ed teacher.
Right.
So they also are being contacted and asked about support that they may need. I'm not sure if I mentioned, but we even have instruction for our life skills students available here.
Okay.
So I'm sorry.
Well, I guess I'm thinking too about our autistic students, for example.
We will be their special ed teachers will be reaching out to our students, and they typically access our general curriculum with support.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Mr. Ryan. Was that You have no questions, or what were you saying?
No, I don't have any
Repeat that,
questions.
Mr. Ryan.
No, but
God, he's freaking
You say I was deaf.
I don't.
Do you understand him? I don't understand him. Ms. Heineman.
Yes. My turn.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Dr. Macias, thank you so much to you and your team for all your hard work. This is fantastic. And as a parent, I appreciate all the resources that are being made available, and the fact that you're looking at all the needs from basic core classes through extracurriculars for our special education students, CTE, fine arts, and above. I appreciate that so much. You did answer most of my questions that I came in with regarding special education and CTE. I do share a concern about those kids who were working towards certifications so that they could go straight into the workforce after graduation. So I know that's a priority for your team as well.
Absolutely.
So a couple questions. One, grades. What about grades? I'll let you answer that first, and then I'll ask my other question.
Okay. So right now, as of right now, because it is a very fluid situation, as of right now, we are not taking grades.
Right.
Now, the commissioner shared last week on Friday, I believe, that he and his team are still working on what grading might look like. So we're waiting for guidance. We're waiting for guidance, but we are thinking about that and then working through it, but we do need to wait on the guidance.
Fair. And can you also share, since you mentioned the TEA commissioner, his guidance that he has already given us regarding going to the next grade and graduation?
Absolutely. So right now, we utilize grade placement committees or individual graduation committees for our seniors. And so basically, we will be looking at for high school, we will be looking at did they earn the credits that are required for graduation. Mm-hmm. And so that's what we're going to be basing our decision on, along with teacher input about students graduating if they have not completed all their end of course tests. The end of course tests are not being mandated for graduation at this time.
So should parents and students be expecting a communication sometime over the next few weeks about what their status is? Like you have met all your requirements, you are okay to graduate when we end the school year, or you are moving to the next grade, we'll be working with you to schedule your classes for next year, something like that?
They will, Ms. Heineman. We will probably wait until we get to the April 10th timeframe, so that we can see what other guidance and expectations we're getting from the Texas Education Agency and the commissioner. But we are already working on that, but we really want to wait until we have some better guidance.
Sure. So in the meantime, our job as parents are just to help our kiddos work with the educational resources that the district is making available now.
That is correct.
Okay. What about our mobile libraries? Can we use our mobile libraries?
We have one mobile library, Ms. Heineman, and
library, not plural. Okay.
We just have one.
Okay.
And we have the same concern. More than 10 people, kids and parents being at one site.
That's a great point. Okay.
However, we are providing, and we're going to try to continue providing a book for the packets that we're distributing at the curbside meals.
Uh-huh.
And if they go to the website, to our Learning at Home website, there are many opportunities to be able to access thousands of books.
Great point. Thank you very much. Okay, I think that's all the questions I have right now. Thank you.
Mr. Jackson.
I would echo the comments of my colleagues, Linda, with very sincere appreciation as everything that that you and your team, that of Mark and Teresa's team, Marty and everybody else, tremendous undertaking to get this battleship moved from water onto land and get it moving in the right direction. Very much appreciated. For our viewers at home who are looking at this, you've talked about how we're using a software platform and we're asking our students to tie into this. Is this still compatible with the district approach of consistent curriculum?
My answer to that would be yes, Mr. Jackson, because as I've shared, the different online opportunities to, for example, Edgenuity, they are all, we went back and aligned them to our scope and sequence. So we didn't just open Edgenuity. We went back and aligned them to our scope and sequence. When they look at the elementary support systems there, the elementary curriculum, they will see that there are specific content and concepts that we are placing out there for our students to be able to do, and that is also aligned with our scope and sequence.
Very good. To follow up on the theme of Dr. Ogletree, how will we know if our students are accessing the resources that are made available?
That will be through their teachers. So their teachers are charged with continuously, well, two ways, I believe. The teachers are charged with continuously contacting their students and checking for understanding and where they're at. Through Edgenuity, they're actually logged in. And so we're able to see who's been in there, how much work they've done. There's quizzes. If we need to go back and get some grades, there's quizzes in there as well.
So we will be able to demonstrate to TEA that our students are in fact engaged, as well as the fact that our teachers are engaging with our students.
Absolutely. At every level, we have software that our students are going into, even at the elementary level through Achieve 3000 and others, that documents the work and how much they've been in the system.
Excellent. Once again, thank you ever so much. This has been a most arduous undertaking, but as you hinted at in one of your comments, there are some beneficial side effects that are going to come out of this as we go forth. But thank you once again.
Gilbert, you have anything?
Yes, Linda. Again, an outstanding job that your team has done. You're so out front of everything that you do in your job, not only in the area and the state, but nationally, as I'm learning to work the waters of being a school board trustee and stuff. You guys are so far ahead, and I know it's going to be a fluid season, rest of the school year for you, as you say. And I just want to thank you for everything that you're doing. And I know you and your team are trying the best, and I'm no doubt we'll hear about how other school districts around the state and the country will come to us and see how you did your job, because that's what I'm learning always, that you are way ahead of the curve. So thank you again, Linda and your team.
Thank you.
Okay. I did have one question, and that is, and I understand it's a pretty fluid situation, but let's don't look at the seniors, but let's look at, say, freshmen, sophomores, and juniors, and they're taking classes that are part of their core curriculum.
Mm-hmm.
How will we determine that they can go to the next level? Has that been decided, or is that something TEA is working on?
No, we've gotten communication from the state on that. Again, it's going to be a district process, district decision with what we put in place for students to be able to go to the next grade level. Basically, again, are they passing their courses? And then also being able to work with teachers to give input as well.
So, like, I know we see this sometimes right before graduations, and kids are really pushing to get to that passing level. And so is there a way in what we're doing now that kids can improve their scores to where they're passing that class?
At this point, we are not taking grades. However, as we get close to graduation time, and we see that there are students who are not being successful, and this crisis has impacted them, then we are ready to put in place different measures such as quick credit by exam tests, or again, just teacher input. It's not unusual for us every single year right before graduation, we have students who have not met their graduation criteria. And we quickly, we're there in the morning, we're there in the evening, we're there the morning of graduation, providing a credit by exam to help our kids get to that graduation point.
Okay.
Please.
Please.
May I just
Help
please add
yourself.
one thing? As Teresa said, all of our district teams have been working just tirelessly to support our families, to support our students. But I've got to give a shout out to my curriculum instruction accountability team, and also to Jennifer Ongoko, who works with Leslie Francis. She's our webmaster. They have been working 24/7. I'm online with them at 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, looking at what's been posted, what we need to adjust. So I just want to give them just a shout out and a big thank you.
Thank you. Teresa, you have something more? Sure.
That I shared
Okay.
I just wanted to provide one clarification on the numbers that I provided you on the curbside meals. I received an email quickly that it's 85,000 breakfast and 85,000 lunches that will be served at the 16 campuses per day. And that's for a total of 17,000 meals per day. I think we had indicated that it would be 17,000 per site, but it's really 17,000 meals per day total for all 16 sites. So I just didn't want to get inaccurate information out there. Thank you.
Bob, I have a question.
Yes, sir, Gilbert.
Yes, I'm not sure who would answer this, Teresa or Linda. On the summer school, are we looking at summer school still and starting late? I know summer school is something that hopefully once this thing is over, that some of our students who are in need of it to stay above the water line can use. And are we looking, is it possible that summer school can start late and actually lead up into the school year?
Yes, sir. We have been already discussing summer school opportunities. Certainly, what you're probably alluding to, that gap that is probably widening with some of our students is a big concern. And so whenever we're ready for summer school, we are already addressing whether we need to extend, whether it's our Camp Summit or algebra camps or other programs that we have for kids who need assistance. We have already started talking about what that might look like if we need to expand that time frame. But we are committed to addressing the gap that is continuing to grow with many of our students.
Exactly. I appreciate that. And it's very comforting knowing that you guys are ready. Again, like I said, ahead of the curve. So on that case.
Thank you.
Anyone have anything else?
I do, Bob.
Okay.
Yep. This is for Chief Mendez. Is he around?
He is. And he's coming over here right now. And I think it's rude you ask if he was round.
I keep staying home and eating.
Chief Mendez,
Yes,
sorry to put you on the spotlight, but like summer school, like summer season is, you have 116,000 students in our district out and about. What are you finding challenging at this time right now to address the 116,000, 18,000 students out and about?
As far as just not being in school right now?
Yes. Are we still doing good? And are we looking at expanding your hours and your patrol hours? You know, not normally that we're on the campus into different areas of the district.
So we continue to provide 24-hour, 7-day-a-week coverage for the district. We still have our officers on patrol who are going out and ensuring that district facilities and district properties are maintained and not subject to vandalism or burglaries. And so we continue to follow that task. The campus officers are being utilized at the 16 curbside locations. And so we have 16 officers there, and then the other officers are placed into the rotation on patrol. Because we have a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week responsibility, we utilize all of the bodies to continue to provide that service. So as we move into the summer, we're hoping that, you know, some sense of normalcy comes back. And if we have summer schools, we'll provide the officers at the summer schools. We'll look at the Junior Police Academy summer camp that we had planned for this summer, the 3 different camps. And depending on how we get to some sort of normal would depend on if we have 1 camp, 2 camps, or if we can get all 3 in, but we'll also do that as well.
That's very reassuring to hear, Chief Mendez. Again, thank you and your officers for all you do in keeping our district safe. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bob.
Yeah. Dr. Henry.
Thank you. Just one quick clarification, and Teresa, I think, made it clear, but I want to make sure that the viewing audience and trustees hear this very clearly. With what we're doing now, we will not have to extend the academic year. So that's a very important little caveat to make sure the community understands. So we have no plans of extending the school year. Certainly, we will have some type of summer school. It may be similar to what we're having right now, but hopefully it will be live and in person, but that'll be determined at a later date. Last thing that I would want to say is that I do have the other associates in here. I didn't know if board members had any questions for Mr. Sprague, Dr. Stewart, Ms. Smith, or Mr. Garcia, but they are very, we are socially distanced in this room, about 20, 30 feet apart, but I can call any of them up if you have any questions for them in particular.
Ms. Heinemann's got her hand up. Where?
I clicked the little button that said raise your hand.
Oh,
Yes.
oh, okay.
Isn't that cool? I just had a couple of things. One, I wanted just to give a shout out to our IT department. I mean, in addition to our communications team and our curriculum and instruction teams working 4 hours a day, I know our IT team as well is working so hard to make sure that everything works smoothly. We know there's hiccups, but we very much appreciate all their hard work and the other thing is I want to encourage people to use the FAQ. You can ask a question online on the CFISD website. I'm seeing a lot of things questions on social media and some misinformation. And I think if people have questions, you can ask that question and get an answer directly from the school district. And that will eliminate a lot of these rumors or misinformation that seem to travel pretty quickly through our community. I want to make sure that people are getting accurate information. And if you have a question, use that question box on the website, please.
Okay, anyone have anything else? Well, personally speaking, and as president of the board right now, I can't say enough gratitude and feelings of knowing that this school district is in good hands than hearing some of the reports we've had today. And also knowing how many people have worked to make this happen like they have. And I know as a board, we're extremely proud and honored to be serving with you. As community members out there, if you have questions, please don't hesitate to ask. If we don't know the answer, we will find an answer for you. But I appreciate y'all all listening in and being part of this. We are adjourned. Thank you.
All right. Woohoo! I'll let you take over here, David.